Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm David Knight. It's Monday, July 28th, 2014, and here are our top stories.
Tonight, during an emergency, illegal immigrants will be evacuated before South Texas residents. Then report, homeless in Los Angeles are to be forced into camps. And is paraphrasing the Constitution a threat? That's next on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
They say pay carbon taxes, give up my rights, families are bad, heterosexualism is bad. That's how I prove I'm not racist. And I grow a big beard and mustache.
Well, hurricane season is just around the corner. And in case of hurricane, we need to save the illegals. This is an article from Adon Salazar. In event of emergency, illegals will be evacuated before citizens. Now, this is in case of a hurricane or other life-threatening catastrophic weather event occur in South Texas. Illegal aliens that are occupying various shelters will be the first to get in line to safer ground, says a National Weather Service coordinator, Barry Goldsmith. He's worried that if a hurricane or other emergency hits, that the evacuation of 4,000 illegal aliens could be impeded by citizens who are trying to reach safety. So he says one way to ensure the illegals remain safe is to evacuate them before the general population receives its evacuation orders. He says the entire Valley detention area will be evacuated first. In other words, before the public gets their mandatory evacuation. Well, what about the legal women and children? Well, of course, we are treated differently if we're citizens of the United States. Remember just a couple of weeks ago, back on July 14th, 2014, we had this article on INFOWARS. TSA lets illegals fly without an ID, yet harasses a mom over breast milk. Yes, all they needed was their notice to appear, their permiso, essentially their de facto citizenship papers. Now, of course, the government pushed back against that. Homeland Security spokesman said that wasn't what was happening, and yet that is a different story that we hear from the Border Patrol agents. Now we see the lady who famously said last year that we had to get over the idea that our children belong to us. No, actually, they belong to the community, in other words, to the state. The same lady who mocked Romney and the Romney family for adopting a black child is now saying that if we're against illegal immigration, we're racist. In an article today on InfoWars.com from Paul Joseph Washington, she says, during a segment on her Saturday show, she likened Texas Governor Rick Perry's decision to send National Guard troops to the border to Arkansas Governor Orville Faubus's move to use the Guard troops to prevent black children from attending Little Rock Central High, which was racially segregated back in 1957. Now, it's not just Melissa Harris Perry at MSNBC, of course. It's also conservative commentators like George Will, who are pushing the narrative that it's not only racist, but it's somehow affecting little tiny children. Look at this article from 1993. Now, at the time, the NAFTA debate was in full force. And George Will came out at the time and said that we needed to address both the problems of NAFTA and illegal immigration. They could both be solved. Now, what would you do to solve illegal immigration? Well, according to him, you're going to pass NAFTA. That's going to mean that the people have enough prosperity at home that they're not leaving and coming into the country. And he targeted people like Pat Buchanan, Republicans. He said they're a small but gingery group that oppose both immigration and NAFTA. An incoherence matched within the Democratic Party. In other words, if you oppose both NAFTA and open immigration, that's incoherent. You can't oppose both of those. He also quotes Clinton at the time. He says, Clinton said, protection is just a fancy word for giving up a nation's characteristic stance of confidence about competition and a fast unfolding future. Well, now that we look back 20 years after they were successful in passing NAFTA, how has competition played out for us? Do we still have illegal immigration? Has that solved the situation economically for those people and even Mexico? Now, of course, George Will is saying we need to extend NAFTA into Central and South America so these people don't have an economic incentive to come in. It hasn't solved anything. What free trade, unrestricted free trade did was export our jobs. Now, if we have unrestricted free immigration, it is going to take the country down even faster. And of course, this is what David Petraeus said when he said, what comes after America? Well, that's easy. NAFTA. He said, we're 20 years into NAFTA, and now it's becoming a fact. We no longer have a border. That's what Pelosi said. Let's listen to that clip now as to what George Will is saying today.
My view is that we ought to say to these children, welcome to America. You're going to go to school and get a job and become Americans. We have 3,141 counties in this country. That'd be 20 per county. And the idea that we can't assimilate these 8-year-old criminals with their teddy bears is preposterous. We've handled what Emma Lazarus famously called the wretched refuse of your teeming shores a long time ago, and a lot more people than this.
There's a lot of lies in that. Listen to the first one, the idea that we can't handle these 8-year-old criminals with their teddy bears. Of course, he's channeling Glenn Beck, who famously went to the border and gave the narrative that the Obama administration is trying to feed everybody, really gave that credibility by handing out teddy bears. Now, of course, they're trying to sell us the idea that these are 8-year-olds coming across 1,500 miles of dangerous territory with their teddy bears, coming here unaccompanied. Are they really unaccompanied? Or are they being accompanied by gangs? Or are they being turned into gangs once they get here? Are they being recruited into gangs? Look at this story from Mail Online today. Violent transnational gangs are recruiting unaccompanied minors at the border security facilities. Now, of course, Obama and the Democrats are trying to recruit them as Democrats. Of course, they'll raise them in the communities, just like Melissa Harris Perry said, we need to get over the idea they belong to parents. That's their dream come true, that they have unaccompanied minors. They would like for them to all be unaccompanied minors. But as they estimate in this story here, 57,000 have come from Central and South America. Yet we see that many people coming each month. And it's not just minors. So that's about 1/12 of the number of people that are coming in each month, according to their official numbers, if we can believe that. So that's about 8%. Now, of course, those minors that are coming in are not just 8-year-old children. Most of them are teens. Just because they're under 18 doesn't make them children, and many of them are already gang members. The ones who aren't are being recruited. Take a look at this picture of this young boy who maybe is about 8 or 9 years old, giving the MS-13 gang member shot. Now, we were told from border control agents, told Fox News that this was what was happening, but of course, yet again, we see the Department of Homeland Security and the official border control bureaucracy saying they have no information that this is happening. They have no verification of this because they're not looking for it. Still, the Border Patrol agents who are working in these areas are the ones who are contacting the media and telling us what is really going on. Now, the LA Times reports that the White House is pursuing plans to expand what they call immigrant rights. Yes, it's not the 57,000 that George Will is talking about, which would be 20 per county across the United States. No, they're looking at giving citizenship rights to 5 to 11 million people who are here. Even as President Obama grapples with the crisis of immigrant children, see, they're still selling it as being nothing but children. As he grapples with the humanitarian crisis of immigrant children arriving at the border, White House officials are laying the groundwork for a large-scale expansion of immigrant rights that would come by executive action within the next few weeks. Officials strongly signaled on Friday that Obama's move would shield from deportation large number of immigrants living in the country illegally, as advocacy groups have demanded. See, they're making demands. It's not like what George Will said. He said, quoted the Statue of Liberty poem, give me your huddled masses yearning to be free. They're not yearning to be free. They're coming here making demands about entitlements, about decisions, about citizenship. That's what they're yearning for. They're yearning for something free. We cannot support this number of people coming in. What are you going to do in each of these counties as they make these people legal, as they give them amnesty? Of course, it's not just the 5 to 11 million, it's the extended families that are connected with them that will be allowed to come in. Are you going to be able in your county to build 2 new schools immediately, tomorrow? Because that's about when this is going to happen. They're going to do this at the end of the summer, just in time for school to start. It's not just who the immigrants are, trying to portray them all as children that the media is lying about. They're also lying about the people who are protesting this amnesty that Obama is putting out there. Now, on the Alex Jones Show today, we had William Geen from ALIPAC.us, and he pointed out that at a rally in Boston, the media reported that there were only a few hundred there. But as you can see from this article on INFOWARS.com, tweets pushing back against that narrative show that there are anywhere between 4,000 and 10,000 participants in this. Now, the people who organized this, and one of the chief organizers was Jeff Cooner, the host of WRKO's Cooner Report, put the number at 10,000, and he said this. He said, these are not children. When you say a child, the implication is 4, 5, 6 years old. He says, these are teenagers. Many of them are gangbangers. If you're 15, you're not a child. And that's right. If you can make that journey truly unaccompanied, you're not a child. And of course, the lie that we're hearing from George Will, from MSNBC, even implied from Glenn Beck, is that the people coming across are young children with teddy bears. Now, as you can see from the pictures here, it's far more than the, quote, hundreds of people that the CBS reporter initially tweeted about. Later, she corrected that and says, oh, maybe it's about 1,000. No, it was far more than that. Here's Alex Jones with William Geen from the show earlier today.
We believe that there's a new movement rising rapidly in America that's beyond the Minutemen, beyond the Tea Party. And it seems to be involving a lot of different groups and other different types of Americans that weren't working together before, combined with people who are starting to abandon Obama and the Democrats, including blacks, Hispanics, white liberals in cities. Everyone's waking up to Obama as he tries to run across the field with this. So we have a movement that's building. This past Saturday, July 26th, truly historic date, Boston, Massachusetts, over 5,000 American patriots gathered in Boston following a radio show host named Jeff Cooner, who did one of these protests. But of course, the Boston Globe takes little bitty up-close pictures of the crowd, claims that only hundreds were there, and as a disinformation campaign worthy of a psychological operation conducted by a military against another nation, they pumped this out on social media saying, look, Boston. And we were excited because, hey, you know, a couple hundred people, that was great. About an hour and a half later, this past Saturday night, the pictures start coming in. There are clearly thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people in a liberal bastion like Boston that are chanting, send them back, and USA.
Stay with us. Right after the break, we have Joe Biggs at the Arizona border with ranchers on the front line. And the elephant in the room, if they're fleeing violence, if they're really refugees from Central America, what is the cause of that violence? We're going to talk to Jim Gierach with Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. Stay with us.
This is Alex Jones for InfoWarsLife.com. The latest in preparedness is now here. An electrically stabilized colloidal silver solution that can be added to both your home cabinet and preparedness pack alike. Concentrated to 30 parts per million in what has been dubbed the survival silver solution. The new InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver is the answer for you and your family. And it's entirely free of toxic artificial additives that are loaded into many products. The InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Silver is so powerful that it is concentrated into a 2-ounce bottle and is not recommended for extended continual use. This is not a low-grade formula. We are working with one of the top laboratory manufacturers in the United States to bring you the best form of colloidal silver using electrical processes within a base of deionized water for your preparedness storage. For your home kitchen, purchase your bottle of InfoWarsLife.com Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver today and find other amazing supplements at InfoWarsLife.com.
I'm Joe Biggs with InfoWars.com, and we're getting ready to talk to two of the local ranchers right out here in Hereford, Arizona. Sir, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Fred Davis.
John Ladd.
And how long have you had property out here?
Oh, all my life. My great-granddads came to Arizona in 1867 and 1880.
You, sir?
My great-grandparents came in 1894.
So tell me what you've seen out here over the past 20 years along the border, the things that have been going on. Earlier we spoke, and one of the things you'd mentioned how you'd seen the gates being cut open and smugglers driving through. Tell me about that.
What they're cutting we have 3 different kinds of wall, but 14, 10, and 13 feet mesh, I-beam, steel, vehicle barrier. And they're using chop saws and portable grinders to cut the mesh and the I-beams and driving full-size trucks through the border to the highway full of marijuana. We've had 46 trucks in the last 2 years and 7 months now, but 46, and one of them was caught because the airbag went off and it was disabled, but 45 of them got away.
It goes clear back to when we had the hordes of people and you've got mountains of trash. You find